Yo, there's something beautiful about Bearcats basketball. High flying.
Kenyon with a jam.
Shot denying.
Miles rejected.
There's just an energy that comes with the Cats. A rich history built on toughness.
And Mick Cronin looks like he wants a technical.
A bring-your-own-lunch pail mentality. For a long time, UC was the hunted.
And I felt that we couldn't lose.
I think it's time the Bearcats do a little hunting of their own.
Once y'all done with them, send them to me, man. You know what I mean? We can put them on the court. Keep that Bearcat thing going.
I am fired up.
Takes it all the way. Oh! It's going to be Little.
I wonder how Steve Logan would be over in Afghanistan or somewhere. I bet he'd be pretty poised. He just does not get rattled.
Van Exel, he'll cut it loose. Watch out. Stevenson cuts it about. Oh! Kilpatrick outruns everybody. Johnson, the exclamation point.
We've been dealt the king of heartbreak over and over again.
Rozier. Smith and
Everything they worked for was undone on one play.
But I see the light. The Cats are back.
Lukosius, open three, got it! Oh, baby!
Welcome to the only live Bearcats postgame show on YouTube. This is Chatterbox Bearcats.
Give it up for your Cincinnati Bearcats winning round one of the crown against DePaul. A blowout victory, Lilly. 5 Bearcats. Actually, I think scratch that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bearcats in double figure scoring as Cincinnati takes down DePaul 83-61. We got an April victory, Lilly. Not the way we imagined it preseason, but a win is a win, right? What are your thoughts about the Bearcats taking down DePaul in round one of the Crown Tournament?
It was all right, you know. You saw all the usual stuff, the turnovers, the mind-numbing, like CMOS's rainbow pass in transit. Like the transition decision-making is still there. This is the same team. A week or two of practicing with like no pressure did not fix anything, but I don't know. If I'm watching UC play basketball, I'm happy. You know, I hate the part of the year where there's no hoops, but it was not enjoyable. And, you know, it was nice to see some guys open up a little. It kind of felt like the UCF game for a little, where it really opened up.
Well, I was going to say, you were about to say it was fun, and then you kind of stopped yourself. That was not fun. Right. I didn't have any fun. Did you have fun?
You realize it's one of those things where if we keep advancing, we're eventually going to start caring about it, I think, which I'm trying not to, though. I'm pushing back on that natural urge. Hopefully we don't get to that point where I'm like locked into a crown game. Let's not do that.
I think we might have to be, because I think the Bearcats truly have a chance of winning the whole thing. At least they were the favorites before the betting regulations were thrown out the window and nobody can gamble on this thing. Anyway, there's a few big storylines, I think, of today's game. The first being Arrington Page and Tyler Betsy not seeing the floor. At least Page didn't see the floor at all. Betsy, he got in after Halvin Zella touched the floor. So I think that tells you all you need to know about how they are either perceived by the coaching staff or their status on the team altogether. So is that the number one thing that stood out to you for today's game, is seeing those two guys? At least Page didn't see the floor. Betsy barely saw the floor.
Yeah, that was the talking point right away when Halvin got on the scorer's table there. He played more minutes tonight than Page has played since February 15th. I just pulled up the box score here. Page has played 15 minutes since counting the Iowa State game since then. And Zella got 15 tonight. Betsy got in, didn't look good. I do think it's very obvious what is happening with both of those players here. I don't know. It's a little weird though. Still, like I wish we knew. Like, do they have their landing spots locked up and they don't want to like play? Because you see like DePaul and some other teams are playing guys that are in the portal. Maybe Wes is just old school and wants to like. I don't know. This sounds ridiculous, but maybe he's like, this is the season still going on, and he's good at just kind of keeping everybody together and wants to keep it quiet till the season's over, something like that. I can't wait for that to stop, though. Like, it's just adds unnecessary talking points and drama to basketball, in my opinion.
Well, and it's funny because we had a show last week where 2 players were rumored to be at least leaning towards the portal on Discord. Dan and Jizzle were both names that were tossed out on, one of the apps, and both of them saw the floor a ton tonight. And we kind of have gotten a little like, hold up. I don't know if those 2 are completely gone. Whereas Arrington Page and Tyler Betsy, I feel like at this point you could just pencil them in as those 2 are going to be hitting the portal no matter what. At least that's what it seems like, especially in round 1 of the Crown tournament. Now, there was a question thrown out in our group text where it's like, why is Page even still on the bench? Why is he even playing? And I'm just like, I think this guy wants a share of $300,000 because I truly think that this team thinks they can win the whole thing. And when you look at all of these rosters that are not full, like DePaul, like you mentioned, some guys are in the portal, some guys probably didn't play. I don't know the DePaul roster like the back of my hand like I do Cincinnati's, so I don't know who played, who didn't, right? But I would think it's safe to assume that Cincinnati and Boise State are really the only 2 full rosters in this tournament. So do you think we have a chance at winning this whole thing?
Yeah, for sure. I still just don't. We've watched this team all year and how inconsistent we are. I still have a hard time believing we'll pull it off, like winning that many games in a row versus like this isn't like those 300 ranked teams we play in the out of conference that we're just going to beat. Some of these teams have a pulse, and some of the guys that are playing might be playing to showcase themselves for their teams or for other teams. I don't think teams are going to lay over. So I think that's definitely – we should win it though, right? Like I've watched Boise quite a lot this year. They stink too. Like if they got in, it would have been a crime. Like this is not a good team either. And we have better players, but we'll get there when we get there. We're talking Oregon State or UCF, right? That's next on the list.
That is next on the list. Obviously, we have taken care of business against UCF so far this year. I would love to bet on it because if we could, I would be betting on UC to win the whole thing. Let's run through the box score, though. Dylan Mitchell led the way with 15 points. He also had 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 7 of 10 from the floor. Probably the best game out of a Bearcat tonight. Up next, Day Thomas and Jizzle James both had 13 points. Dan Skillings, 12. Aziz Bandago, 11. Seamoss Lukosius, 11. Those are the 6 Bearcats who were in double figures. The rest of the crew that played tonight or today, 3 points from Josh Reed, 3 points from Halvin, 2 points from Rayvon Griffith, and Tyler Betsy, like we mentioned, 2 minutes, 0 points. So anybody in particular stick out to you that played well today?
Yeah, definitely Dylan and Day. I thought Aziz played really well. Day had 7 steals. I think he had a 7 or 8 steal game in the Big 12 tournament as well. He just has some crazy games. Like those are massive steal games. And we're talking about a guy here where if he does come back, which I think he will be, if he replicates his first 2 years here, he will be a top 10 career Cincinnati Bearcat in steals. Like he's heading towards that number of 150. And getting 7 more this year, like really helps his case because less work to do next year. But he's over 100. I think he's at 115 now, and has another season to go. So that'd be cool. Day kind of fits that old mold of like Bearcats guards, in my opinion. And I thought, other than the obvious ones, CMOS hit a couple threes. I feel like we got to talk about that because where was this down the stretch? I mean, I know it's only 2 threes, but come on, CMOS. I was looking at his game logs. He had 2 threes today. That has only happened. It's happened less than 5 times in the last couple months where he's hit 2 threes, and it feels like it. But we were expecting so much more out of this guy this season. Like, I was expecting 2 per game.
We're expecting him to be our best player outside of Dan Skillings, right? I remember that was like a topic of conversation in the non-conference. We're like, who's going to be the guy? Is it going to be Dan or is it going to be CMOS? Now, obviously, Jizzle was the third guy that we mentioned. Of course, he ended up being the guy down the stretch of the season. But 2 for 3, let's see, 4 for 6 from the floor for CMOS. So a good shooting day from him. An awful lob to Aziz Bandago for an alley-oop when Aziz was about 9 feet from the rim. I don't know what that was. I will not be missing those. I assume that whatever big we get from the portal will not be as big of a focal point for just lobs. So sometimes, I mean, look, alley-oops are great and they're fun, and that's the way we started off the crosstown shootout, was with an awesome alley-oop, but like that will not be missed for me. It is a lob being a only way to score in the paint from our big man. But still, I don't want to hate on these guys individually. Like Aziz had a good game, 11 points. I do want to say, though, I know that we've been asked this question every single time we've stepped behind a microphone. We talk about a couple of these guys hitting the portal. Is there anybody? I feel like this is the tournament where you watch and you're like, okay, I definitely want to pinpoint Day coming back. I definitely want to pinpoint Jizzle coming back. There's some guys here and there, take or leave. Like, put your Corey Evans hat on. Anybody that you are like, we have to have back next year?
I think so. Just if you look at each player separately without like just context of the entire team, there's not like, this might sound crazy, there's not one guy that if we lost, I'm like losing a bunch of sleep over. But I do think in this current portal, like there's not as much top end talent, according to Trilly and some other people. I do think it's pretty important to retain a couple guys rather than like do a complete reset, especially since we're getting started later in the game for some reason. I think Day is a great foundational piece, whether he ends up being a starter or someone you recruit over, still gets his minutes, but maybe off the bench. Plus he can play 2 positions. Oh man. After that, like I would McKinley, obviously we want to see what we got there. I'd like to have Ravon back, local guy, give him another year, see if he can fight his way into the rotation. He's high motor. We need more of those players. After that, we're getting pretty like Josh Reed. I get why some people hate him, some people love him. If he's totally cool with how his role has been, he's a foundational piece to me, like at the end of the roster, like just so we don't have to fill 12 spots here. So guys like that, I would like to see back, and then take your big swings. If you're asking me between Dylan and Jizzle, that is a tough question because, I would love to see a new guard in here. But I also think Dylan kind of encourages Wes to be, or encourages, I don't think he raises our floor enough, put it that way. I think we need a more modern floor. But between those two, gun to my head, I'm saying I'd rather have Jizzle back.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. When I look at this roster from this year, and I'm starting off watching this Crown game against DePaul, and I'm like, man, I really remember why I hated watching this team. I mean, it was abysmal offense to start the game. It was ugly. Like, it was ugly basketball. Everybody was saying it. It was like, what are we watching? This is terrible. There's 2 guys. There's 2. It's Day Thomas and it's Jizzle James. I'm okay with Jizzle James coming back. Now, I know that Corey Evans is an analytical guy. Like, let me backtrack. I said I'm okay with Jizzle James coming back. I would be happy if Jizzle James comes back. I just don't see the usage that has been put on him carrying over to next season. Like, he has been a very low efficient scorer, but that's because he's had to be. Like, when Seamoss isn't hitting the broadside of a barn and Dan Skillings couldn't play this year, who else is there to go to on offense other than Jizzle creating his own shot and taking bad shots? And yeah, he scored 18, 16 points pretty much every single game down the stretch, but that's because he was taking 20 shots. I just think that we're hopefully in a spot next year to where the load is not going to be all over Jizzle James. So I think he's talented. I think he's skilled. I think he's a leader. He's only a sophomore. So I think Jizzle James is somebody that you should retain, but it's him and Day-Day. And then if you were to take or leave some of these guys, like you mentioned, foundational pieces, that's fine. Dylan Mitchell, he's somebody that you got to pair with somebody. He's somebody you got to pair with a big who can score in the paint, because that did not work this year. So it's really, it's tough to see this roster construction working out because we don't know who's going to be gone, who's staying. But I guess today was like just another microcosm outside of Seamoss and Dan playing well, of Jizzle, I mean, shooting 4 of 14 from the floor, but he had 13 points. So it's tough. Like, I wish I had a crystal ball and I wish I could see who we got in the portal so I can kind of hone in on the people that we should be retaining.
Yeah, and as we're talking here, we got linked with KJ Lewis from Arizona. He was a pretty big-time recruit back in the day. Slightly controversial player. You know, he shoots a lot and isn't the best shooter, but it's a big name. So there's a link. And right before the show started, we also got linked with the Vanderbilt wing, that MJ Collins. I'm not going to act like I know who he is. I should just pull Houdini loves him. People are like, oh, yeah, that guy. I should have just done one of those there. But, it's just funny because right after the game ends, the tweets start coming. But it's not related, obviously, but it's funny.
Yeah, so I guess, look, we're going to play the winner of Oregon State and DePaul. Obviously, UCF. I guess we are obviously going live right after the DePaul win, so we don't know that yet. But anything else specifically about the game that you either liked or didn't like seeing? I know how I mentioned to start the game, it was just brutal to watch. Like, were you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I will say, like, when I was my negative comments at the beginning there, it was mostly like the first 10 minutes. It just felt like AAU ball. And we did settle down. Wes definitely said something at halftime to settle them down a little. The game did get cleaned up. And no one just really stood out negatively or positively to me tonight. It's just one of those games. I did think Dan was kind of cracking me up with all the pump fakes. I thought, it's like, did he add that to his game here? Like, where did he was doing some goofy stuff tonight. He is a goofy player. But again, it's just a reminder that all these guys do have something, but together it doesn't work here. A lot of people think it's coaching. I'm not 100% sure it's all coaching. I do think some of these guys just don't play well together, if that makes sense. The Mitchell Z's thing being a big one, and then Jizzle and Day-Day. We don't really have a leader on the court, and it still shows to me, like in games like this, I don't see one guy like popping off the screen like that guy runs our team, and we can rely on him when stuff's going wrong. But something I want to watch throughout this tournament is just Halvin, Rayvon. Let's see what we got here, Let's see what we got, because, we keep talking about how we don't know what our plan is, because as fans, we don't right now. But maybe some guys will play their way into the plans. That's reason enough for me to watch all the games personally.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one of the cases where I said all year long that I learned my lesson by not over-exaggerating in the non-con or the preseason. This is one of those times because DePaul is terrible. They're 14-19. So it's like, yeah, Dan Skillings had a good game today, but he had a good game against 14 and 19 DePaul. Like, he was somebody that we looked to be our best player this year. It's hard for me to be like, I want Dan back because of how he played today. So this is a tough one. It is the Crown. You can't even gamble on it. It's tipping off with 10 people in the stands, one of which is screaming at the top of their lungs when thankfully the opposing team was at the free throw line. What do you think of that? The Utah fan. I think they interviewed him yesterday. What are we doing? Why are you interviewing him? He's just going to do it the whole tournament now. It's the most annoying thing I've ever heard.
I think he's a plant. I think Yormark's paying him to try to get some eyeballs here because, you can't gamble on this thing. Why else is anybody going to watch games right now? No, Utah lost. Get him out of here. Ban him from the arena. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It ruins my experience as I was turning up the volume to hear the shoes squeaking on the floor, Reminded me of the AAC tournament where like 17 fans would be at every year. I don't like that guy. I don't like people who do that. And I hope he's not there on Thursday.
Kick him off the tour, Doug. Yeah, that was something else. I will say, shout out to the broadcast of the game because it felt like, top notch. I mean, we're used to being on ESPN Plus all year where there's no intro, there's no graphics. At least the broadcast team has been good all year for the Bearcats, but Tim Brando doing the Crown, like it was kind of a top end broadcast. So they're really leaning into this, except you can't gamble on it, which is crazy. It's in Vegas, but enough on that. Lilly, we've done 21 minutes on the Crown game 1. I need your final thoughts. I have nothing left in me. It's tough when it's 14-19 DePaul. I want to see Day Thomas back in a Bearcat uniform next year. I would like to see Jizzle James back in a Bearcat uniform next year. Kind of.
We got yeah. We got UCF up 9 at halftime. We're heading towards a Big 12 matchup here in the second round. 7:00 on Thursday, guys. We'll actually have a normal live show after that. That'll be great. 9:00, 9:30. It'll be active in here. I don't have much to add. Let me see those. Let me see Halvin. Let me see Drayvon. And I don't know. We're in it. Let's see. Corey Blunt said, let's win it. So I guess I'm with him.
I'm with him. I think we absolutely can. I mean, it seems like they're all together. And like I mentioned, I think we're one of 2 rosters that is full playing in this tournament. So I think your Cincinnati Bearcats have a very good chance to pull out the very first Crown tournament. That's it from us. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review anywhere you get your audio podcasts. The Cincinnati Bearcats take down DePaul 83-61 in the first round of the Crown. See ya.